Hi, I'm Brian Van, co-founder and CTO here at Kindo. I wanted to walk you through the latest advancements of the Kindo product, which we're internally calling Chat Actions. This launch brings a cursor-like experience to the Kindo product. It allows users to access and control many different systems, all through natural language within the Kindo product. Under the covers, this is built on capabilities are built on top of the Model Context Protocol, which is published by Anthropic, which is now quickly becoming the standard for how agents can access tools and systems in a secure way. So just kind of giving you a quick view of how our product works. So here we have a whole list of different models that just come out of the box. You can choose GPT-5, some of the Claude Sonnet models. In this case, I'm just going to stick with Claude Sonnet 4. You'll also notice that we have what we call tool policies. These are a bunch of different integrations that are powered by MCP under the covers and are easy ways for our AI agents to connect to these various systems. So I could go and connect any of these different systems. If I wanted to go pop this up, it's going to go through an authorization flow. I'm not going to do that right now, but I've already done that with these other set of systems. I can toggle these on and off. And I can also even give more specific criteria and controls to specific tools. So each of these are different services. So GitHub is our code base, Linear is our ticketing system. But within that, I could actually block certain commands if I wanted to. And we're going to continue to add additional controls into these tool policies. But for now, you can either auto-approve or you can block individual tools. So with that, let's show you some examples. Let's start by just listing out my linear tickets. So what this is going to do under the covers is just using natural language. It's going to interpret what I'm asking it to do, look at the set of tools that I've enabled, and now it's going to very quickly list out the set of tools. You can always, from the Kindo product, open up these individual. This one doesn't actually take any inputs, but you can see that the outputs are here. So you can kind of go through that if you want. But in any case, the AI will synthesize a full response. Similarly, I could ask it to list out which GitHub repos I have access to. And this is going to go to GitHub and list out some GitHub repos. It's going to identify the tool list repositories, and then from there it's just going to list out the ones that are available here. There's a subset of these that are available to this particular demo account, but you can kind of see them all listed out here. So another interesting thing is that powering and behind Chat Actions is every AI agent here has access to a full Kali Linux virtual machine, and in that it can run virtually anything that it wants. Now the Sandbox environment is unauthenticated, it doesn't have any API keys, so you can't really access any sensitive systems and that's intentional. However, it can do some pretty powerful things. For example, I could use this for red teaming. I could even ask it to things like, is Nmap installed in a Sandbox? And so it's going to go check in the Sandbox environment, and it's going to go look at which Nmap, and it's going to realize, like, nope, that's not installed, but I can go ahead and install it for you. Since this is a Kali Linux environment, I can go and install it using apt. And sure enough, there it goes. And it's going to go verify that this is working, and now it's done. I could even go further and say, can you run a quick scan against api.kindo.ai? So now that it's installed that tool, the other thing is that the state is persistent within this particular conversation. So with each subsequent request, the AI doesn't lose any state in the sandbox. So since it's now installed that Nmap tool, now I can actually go use it and run that. And I'll let that kind of run. That can sometimes take a little while. Another thing I can show you is that we can also use it to have AI write and run code. So write and run a quick. So I can just ask it to write a quick Python script that's going to print out the first 20 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. So it's going to use that same sandbox that we used for the Nmap scan, and it's going to first write the file there. And if I open this up, you can see that this is actually writing this file. You know, this is actually like the whole file here. And then it went ahead and executed it. And then sure enough, there's my results. So tons of power here. Now, of course, if I gave it access to many more tools, I can chain these things together. I can also take things that I've done and save them as an agent. So if I don't want to do this dynamically every time, I can actually create an agent that will save these prompts. So that's just that little pop-up that you saw. That's just a little convenience way to jump into building an agent where it will automatically already parse some of the pieces here and then run it. So in this case, you can see it just broke it up into 2 steps. So write a Python script that generates the first 20 numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. It didn't quite get it right. Like obviously this should actually be the sequence length here. I can delete this one here. So now it's actually going to inject that whatever I put in there as an input. And then likewise, after the second part of this was to go run the script. So it just kind of like broke down the conversation that was there in a way that makes sense from a multi-step. I could have just as easily put both of these steps into the same sequence. So and run the generated Python script. So if we go save and run this, then it should actually ask me for that input. Okay, so I can give it, let's do 30 this time. And now it's basically going to execute just like it did when we did it from chat, but now it's in a saved agent. So anytime I go run this, all I have to do is click a button, enter in whatever input fields that you want to collect for that agent, and it'll go ahead and do that. Let's also just go back into the editing of this agent real quick, just so you can see one last piece. Notice we have this thing here at the top called add trigger. Now, okay, let's just create a new one for now. So here I can say I want to create a trigger based on linear. So what this is going to do is that for any tickets that come into linear, that is going to trigger that this agent gets run. So I could add additional conditions here, like title, title is equal to whatever. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to have a condition list. So basically every single ticket that's going to come in is going to trigger this agent. And then I could do something very simple like evaluate the description of the ticket and add a comment back to the ticket suggesting how best to implement the feature. But I can really kind of do anything. This is a way to enrich tickets. This could involve incident investigation. Since I have the full access to all these servers, I could also turn on Datadog, for example, in this particular agent. And in doing so, what this would do is allow me to do even something more sophisticated. So since this already has Datadog incorporated, instead I could, if this was a ticket that was involving some sort of alert, I could say, here, go investigate latest errors in our logs, Datadog. For the service and time frame identified in the ticket. So the idea here is that the ticket's going to come in, this AI agent is going to have access to all the details of the ticket now, and then I can basically instruct it to, given the service and the time frame, go look for logs in Datadog, and then I can go ahead and save this. I'm not going to take you through the generation of the actual ticket here, but that would be how I would be able to create a incident response workflow in the Kindo product. I could even take it a step further by adding another step where we go and try to identify the fix for the issue and write it to GitHub as well if I wanted to add that additional step. Oops, sorry about that. And then all I need to do here is turn on the GitHub tool, and that's all I would really need to do. This is assuming that the agent is able to root cause the issue. All I needed to do is give it access to Datadog and GitHub, and it should be able to figure out the rest. So anyway, that would just takes you through how I would not only take advantage of chat actions to do investigation and actually call these various tools, but then how I can actually incorporate that into an autonomous agent that's going to run in the background and do work for me. That's it. Thank you.